Okay, let's get started. Welcome. My name is John Ross, and I work for Cherokee Nation Education Services in the Cherokee language program as a translation specialist. I've been working for Cherokee Nation for nearly 14 years. I was previously a research analyst and a grant writer for the Keetoowah and also with the Cherokee Nation Community Services. As a translation specialist, we translate materials for all departments of the Cherokee Nation, recover and interpret documents, and also we collaborate with Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians and the United Keetoowah Band of Cherokee Indians on the Cherokee Language Consortium Group. In this role, I chair the meetings to help recover lost scientific and natural science words and phrases in Cherokee. If y'all want, you can sit down. I served as an elected official of the United Keetoowah Band for 8 years as chief and 4 years as treasurer. I'm a full-blood. I was raised in Greasy, a rural Cherokee community in Adair County. I'm biliterate in the Cherokee language, with English as secondary language. I also chair the Ethnobotany Publication Board, which focuses on Cherokee cultural environmental issues, and Cultural Advisory Council to the Cherokee Nation Natural Resources Department. My family of 5 resides in Fort Gibson, Oklahoma. My presentation is titled Sequoyah Talking Leaves. It's a brief history of Sequoyah, second, when he started and completed the Syllabary, and third, how Sequoyah Syllabary has been used from its inception to present day. This is a painting of Sequoyah by Charles Banks Wilson. Sequoyah was born in 1770 at Tuskegee on Tennessee River. Sequoyah was also known as George Gist. His mother was Wotit, a full-blood Cherokee of the Paint clan, and his father was Nathaniel Gist, a Virginia soldier. His early life was spent fleeing from the frontier armies that ravaged the Cherokee villages during the 1770s and 1780s. He was crippled from early age. Sequoyah was a silversmith and became famous for his work, and he was an artist. The Cherokees knew him as the greatest silversmith, and he was called a genius and capable of doing anything that he wanted to do. In 1809, Sequoyah got the idea of devising a written Cherokee language for the Cherokee people. It was a crazy idea. Sequoyah spoke no other language but his own. He never went to school to learn the written alphabets. He had a unique plan which was entirely different from any other written languages. Sequoyah served as a private during the War of 1812 in the Andrew Jackson's army. He fought in the Battle of Horseshoe Bend in 1814. In 1815, Sequoyah married Sally Waters, a mixed-blood Cherokee. On September 14, 1816, Sequoyah was Cherokee delegate who signed a treaty with the United States government, exchanging Cherokee land in the southeast for an area in Arkansas. Sequoyah agreed to move west, but he changed his mind in 1819. He lost his home and he moved to Willstown, now Alabama. So first time Sequoyah tried to devise a written system using different symbols for each word, but after several months gave up on that idea. The symbol were too many to remember. He again tried to make a separate symbols for every idea, but found this system to be difficult. Finally, Sequoyah discovered that language was made up of a number of sounds. He started going to public gatherings and listening to the speeches and conversations to make sure he didn't overlook any sounds. This is Sequoyah's original syllabary of 1821. Sequoyah had started a project that obsessed him, and it took 12 years to complete in 1821. He created 86 characters representing 79 vowel consonant sounds in the Cherokee language. Because it was based on sounds rather than letter combination, it was actually more advanced and more compact written language and easier to learn. Within several months, majority of the Cherokee people could read and write their own language. Sequoyah is the only man in history to invent a written language single-handedly. In 1821, Sequoyah used his daughter, Ayoka, to prove his system worked before the Cherokee Council. They had Sequoyah and Ayoka separated. Sequoyah wrote messages, which were carried to Ayoka, who was out of sight. She read the messages and wrote back to Sequoyah, and he interpreted to the warriors. The warriors that were conducting the test wanted to learn the syllabaries, and within weeks, all of them could read and write. Within a few months, the Cherokees rose from illiterate to literate people. And this is a medal that Sequoyah received in 1825. In about 1824, Sequoyah left Alabama and moved to Arkansas to teach the Western Cherokees the written language. The next year, the National Council at New Echota commissioned a medal for Sequoyah in recognition of his accomplishment. As a token of respect and admiration for ingenuity in the invention of the Cherokee Syllabary. In September 1825, the General Council of the Cherokee Nation voted to make the syllabary official and appointed a committee to raise funds for establishing a government printing office. The Cherokee Phoenix was established as the Cherokee Nation official weekly newspaper and the first American Indian tribe to publish a newspaper. It was formally approved by the Cherokee National Council in 1826. The newspaper was called for publication of information on 4 general subjects. There were 1, laws and documents of the nation; 2, accounts of manners and customs of the Cherokees, and the progress in education, religion, and arts of civilized life; 3, principal interest in news of the day; and 4, miscellaneous articles calculated to promote literature, civilization, art, and religion. The first issue of the Cherokee Phoenix was published on February 21st, 1828, at Cherokee capital, New Echota, Georgia. And here's the first newspaper of the Cherokee Phoenix, published on February 21st, 1828. Sequoyah was well received, and he was encouraged to join the Western Cherokee Nation. He established a salt works, set up blacksmith shop, resumed trading, and continued to teach. In 1828, he was a member of the General Council and a delegate which were sent to Washington, D.C. to make a treaty to exchange Arkansas land for the land in Indian Territory, now Oklahoma. You can see Sequoyah's signature of the 1828 treaty, Sequoyah in Cherokee. There were a lot of publications when they established the print office using the Cherokee Syllabary. Here's one with the American Board of Commissioners for Foreign Missions, December 1827 newsletter. Hymn books of 1828. Here's a M sound of our syllabary, which was discontinued in use in August 6, 1828. I've got some news today that the Cherokee Nation and the Eastern Band and the United Keetoowah Band Joint Council voted to add the M sound back into the characters. So we have 86 characters back into the syllabaries. There's a sound called na, na, na. The na was also eliminated, but we still use it today. So we've got 86 characters back in our syllabaries. As you know, the Trail of Tears happened in 1838 to 1839. A lot of people died on that trail. 4,000 people died. And it was one of the worst times for the Cherokee people. They were removed from their homelands to what is now Oklahoma. So when they reestablished in what is now Oklahoma, they got their government back in order, and they also started a new newspaper. It was called Cherokee Advocate. It was published in 1844 to 1906. The first issue was printed on September 26, 1844, with the motto, "Our rights, our country, our race." Like the Cherokee Phoenix, it was published weekly in Cherokee and English to provide the Cherokees with news of their people and the United States. When it started publication, it was the country's only tribal newspaper. The Advocate was published weekly until September 28, 1853, when it was suspended for lack of funds for a while. The Advocate ceased operation on March 4, 1906. This is what I was talking about. There's the syllabaries of 1836. The na, na, and na are at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th line down. And right above that, the last part, the m sound, is missing here. That's what was added back to our syllabary. And they translated Bibles. This is the Old Testament of Exodus. And this is New Testament. And you can see right there, looks like a G, what you need. That's the federal government published that. What you need. Published by the federal government. And at the bottom it says, Nuyagi, Junile, Tana, published in New York. Another hymn book. Song notes were recorded and published. And a math book was published. Cherokee Almanac of 1861, all in Cherokee. Here's our female seminary paper called Cherokee Rosebuds. Is everybody aware that Cherokees established the first schools west of Mississippi River? One was female seminary and the male seminary, equivalent to a college in those days. In 1863, Abraham Lincoln letter to the Cherokee Nation. Here's the Cherokee Nation Constitution laws, published in 1875. In 1890, William Eubanks established Cherokee Shorthand. I'm going to add a little bit to this right here. Sequoyah did the Syllabary. Not many people know that Sequoyah also invented the number system. He created a number system that went to 1 to 1 million. Now, it was never used. And the council disapproved that when Sequoyah approached them to adopt these numbers. So it was never used. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, Gilchrist Museum had this number system in another document that was found. And nobody knew how to use those numbers. It took me several days, months, to decode what these numbers were, and I got it done. But I added a zero, and I added a billion, a trillion, quadrillion. So we can count using these numbers up to quadrillion. So Sequoyah was truly a genius in my book. In 1886, first telephone line west of Mississippi established by Cherokee Nation. Cherokee National Council at Tahlequah authorized the installation of the first telephone line. The work started in 1886. And when it was completed, the first telephone was a reality, connecting to from Tahlequah to Fort Gibson in the Cherokee Nation and Muskogee in the Creek Nation. Ed Hicks, a young businessman of Tahlequah, was responsible for the first telephone in the Indian Territory. The first call was made to Tahlequah, and James Stapler asked, "Who is this?" And from Fort Gibson, Ed Hicks replied, "The devil, and I'm coming after you." A little humor there. And this is Cherokee Advocate, Jalagi, Ostaliski. That's how it translates. Literally means Cherokee helper. After statehood, Cherokee Nation sold the newspaper and the printing press to Fort Gibson, Oklahoma, and they continued to use that and enhance the literacy in Oklahoma. Here's another type letter from Washington, D.C. to the Cherokee Nation, dated 1917. Here's a typewriter in 1960s, all in Syllabary. Here's a Syllabary Typeset. Here's a Cherokee publication. It's Jalagi, Jinagi. It means Cherokee speaker. Same newspaper here. And this is a Cherokee primer by Willard Walker, 1965. Here's a typewriter element by IBM, 1976. And this is taken from the 1975 Cherokee Dictionary by Durbin Phelan. Durbin and I worked together along with 5 other people in our translation department. Still going strong. Here's alphabet stories. And here's a 86 verse Cherokee word processing software, and that's Durban Feelings. He's been at it for a long time, and he's well educated. And this is 1987 first Cherokee document made using the word processing software. And as you see, it's got Chief Wilma Mankiller at the top. She's our first Cherokee female chief. In 1991 and 92, Cherokee font was designed by Franklin McLean and Webster. Here's another Keetoowah font in 93, released by the United Keetoowah Band of Cherokees. In 1999 to 2000, Cherokee font designed by Cherokee Nation. And this is syllabaries. In your typesets, you use the uppercase and the lowercase to type in Cherokee. In 2000, Cherokees formally encoded in the Unicode. In 2003, Cherokee font and keyboards in the Mac system. In 2009, our translation department started working with Facebook, and we localized what they have today in the Cherokee language. And then Apple came along and wanted to do the same thing. So we localized in Cherokee. In 2011, Google localized released. In 2012, Gmail Cherokee localization released. And here's Cherokee font designed by Google in 2013. In 2012, Windows 8. We worked on this for almost a year. A little bit of a story here. Microsoft added Cherokee language into the Windows 8. It marked the first time that a Native American language had been fully integrated into the operating system. And the addition of over 180,000 words was the largest translation project by the tribe since the New Testament in the 1800s. Here's Microsoft Gadugi font for Windows. Microsoft Language Portal. Here's some localization of Microsoft. Anagaliski Gohel means email, lightning paper. Uyo means junk mail. It literally means bad. Uyo explanation is pain. Astawadada means to follow, to shadow someone. Tewatatoti, bookmarks, literally means used to find it. Asquanigo is a file, and it means storage. Octohasa, Asquanigo computer, and it literally means store of knowledge in Cherokee. In January 2014, Office online release in Cherokee. On November 2013, the Cherokee Nation translators finished one of the largest translation projects to date, adding the Cherokee language to Microsoft Web apps, which launched in January 2014. The world's most used computer programs, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, can be set entirely in the Cherokee language to write papers or projects. We spent a year translating 167,000 modern English terms into Cherokee. Microsoft Web Apps offers 108 languages, and Cherokee is included, the only Native American tribe. And we helped this company, Commonwealth Braille and Talking Book Cooperative, to establish a Braille in Cherokee. And this is a sample of keyboards for Android. Here's a sample of Cherokee Phoenix, our newspaper, Cherokee Nation. Here's Mango language that we worked on last fall. And you can learn Cherokee. It's got 2 chapters and 10 lessons each chapter. Cherokee Language Program worked on the Mango Language Project. First, we started writing the greeting portion. Second, goodbyes. And last, conversation for introduction level between a man and a woman in the Cherokee language. The Cherokee lessons contents were completed, and we started audio recording to complete the project. Anna Sixkiller and I did the writing and recording. It is very important to me to create a project such as Mango language for everyone to learn our Cherokee language. You are able to hear the sounds, which makes it easier to pronounce the words. That's the key in learning our language, by hearing the sounds. This is our Cherokee Nation language program. Like I said, we've got 6 almost full-time translators. I think there's a couple of them that comes in half-time. But we also contract other speakers that can translate to do our Microsoft, and we've worked with all the major, technical people in the world, and we're working with Microsoft 10 as of date. We have done been doing updates since 2010 on all these systems, and we have translated over 500,000 words and phrases in Microsoft. And this is small compared to what we're doing now. It's going to be only like 35,000 words. And we've already completed, we completed 6,000 one week. The second week, we're working with 12,000 words, and it should be completed next week. That's when the deadline. We always have deadline to meet, and so far we've met everyone that Microsoft has given projects to us. So we translate just about everything that comes in at Cherokee Nation. We translate for individual people. We translate for museums. We have a contract in Tulsa, Gilchrist Museum, to translate all their Cherokee materials that they have in the museum. And it'll never end because they've got a lot of materials to translate. And that's basically my presentation. You know, I will welcome your questions if you have any. Thank you. Want to know anything about our projects? Welcome and goodbye. Thank you. Thank you.